for the life of me, I don't understand why black people even talk to Pearl Davis or Pearl, whatever you want to call herself. I mean, just last year, 2 years ago, she had a thriving channel. People was tuning in to watch. She was had all those people from London on her channel. It was big. It was blowing up all over social media. And guess who she had on her channel that was the focal point? Black people. She had black people. She had a sprinkle of little Arab here, a little white there. But for the most part, black people made her channel, right? And she was dating black men, getting the BBC, getting boat raced all crazy. She was just doing all kinds of stuff, right? Now all of a sudden, she's fell off. All the black people have abandoned her, and she switched. She tried to go into politics, right? Now she's into race baiting, and she's being a ultra-right W conservatives, and she's spreading these points, and black people are dumb enough to fall for the bait.
However, we are still attracted to dominant men, and that does come in the form of, if a man can kill someone else, we know he can protect us biologically. So that just is what it is.
So you find you equate dominance with, you find a man that can dominate and harm a woman attractive?
That's one way that men describe it, or that's one way that men do it, and women do select those men. So I try not to apply morality to this, good or bad, it doesn't matter, because women do pick criminals. Criminals are men that have committed a violent crime are actually more likely. They are more likely to reproduce than men that haven't. So I didn't make this world. You know, I didn't make women write love letters to Ted Bundy.
Has that been your experience? Like, are you attracted to criminals?
Well, to be fair, I don't know many criminals, so that hasn't been my experience personally.
I mean, what about the people in your environment?
I mean, I've interviewed 1,000 people. A good chunk of them did, procreate and date men with felonies. That's not uncommon. So,
okay,
especially in the black community, if we're going to be honest, that's
well, yeah. Well, and I was going to say,
so I don't know why you're pretending to not know what I'm talking about.
See, this whole conversation is goofy, right? Because when it comes to the W woman, she dates all kinds of men. Now, first of all, we have to look at what is considered a so-called Pookie and Ray Ray or a gangster, where they make the black face as the face for all criminality, where you got blue collar crime. White collar crime, you got all kinds of crimes, right? And all throughout Ohio, Illinois, Western Pennsylvania, Arkansas, West Virginia, Louis, Kentucky, all these places, right? You got poor W folks, right? That's just causing all kinds of havoc across America, where white folks statistically, even by the numbers, lead in all kinds of criminality and crime, right? W women date these thugs, but they're not considered thugs. They're not considered N-words, right? So they don't plaster their faces all over social media and all over the court systems to make them a thug. The black man is the face, but the white woman, she dates W men as thugs and black men as thugs. So she tends to date more thugs than anybody. It's just that the white man is not looked at as a thug. Right? The one in Arkansas, the one down there in South Carolina that's doing all kinds of stuff, they're not looked at as criminals, right? They just criminalize us. So those statistics are skewed. She's using these statistics, right? But people are not smart enough to combat that.
Well, you asked me why I brought it up, the black community, because you're black, so you would know. Because I don't.
That is
the same reason you brought up the white community, because I'm white.
I didn't have eyes, If you're done, first of all, that's very disrespectful.
It's very disrespectful.
This was a conversation about.
Hey, friends, we don't need that leaves. Jess can handle it.
Now, this woman, she peeped another grift and understood that going in on black people in the black community is very lucrative. You can make a lot of money. And this is why I told you guys, stop fighting and gender warring against each other, because other groups are watching and they're joining in. And then you don't like when somebody else comes in and say the same things that you say about each other, because now you can hear it outside of yourself saying it and it don't sound right, right? So then when you hear Pearl saying stuff like Dr. Martin Luther King was a race hustler, you don't like it. When you don't like when you have this when you have this person saying that black women tend to date thugs. Again, it goes back to what is a thug in America, right? Who's considered a thug, right? Knowing the history of America, how come the W man is not considered a thug or a criminal? So white women date all kinds of men, but the black man is only one considered the thug, right? So the statistics are wrong. But y'all get so emotional when y'all hear them say this. Why would you say that? That's because you hurt that you allowed a W person to come on your platform and now they're hurting your feelings when they ain't got no business being up there in the first place.
That's
So
not
like
good.
I said, we were speaking about relationships in general. Nobody said anything about black or white until you brought it up, and for what reason I don't know.
That's true.
It
You're
didn't add
black.
anything to the conversation.
It did.
First of all, you're speaking on the nature of women and how we are all naturally attracted to men who are criminals, and then you made a
Black
point to
women
say,
in particular, yeah.
I mean, no, that is not the case at all for black women. Now, if you're talking about people that are in poverty, people that live in certain situations and are
60%
prone
of
to
black men have been
Excuse me.
arrested by the
Can you
age of
stop cutting her off while she's
One
talking?
sec.
It's just weird that you would even have to bring up a race of people to even have the conversation, which lets me know that you don't really have information on the conversation. You're just spewing points to try to get a rise out of people because that's all you know.
First is that I interviewed 1,000 people. A good chunk of them were black women. And I just noticed that they had a propensity more likely than other races to date criminals. It's not really an insult. As I could go into details about the types of men white women tend to date that are irresponsible. I've just noticed different trends in different communities. And it's kind of backed up by data because 60% of black men have been arrested by the age of 25. So, you know, it's not to be rude, but I think it's more common in that community than it is other communities.
Now, that study was done by Sean Bushwick from the University of Albany, right? These guys are W supremacists, and it doesn't tell the whole story. Now, what they don't put in is black people also represent 51% of all exonerations in this country, right? So they don't... These studies are skewed because it's based off of W supremacy and it's based off the way you already been imaged. I told you guys already. When you go in front of a judge as a black person, how do you know if that judge ain't calling you the N-word under their breath? Whether it's a W, female, or man. You have no way of knowing that in this country. There's never been no recompense or re-education as the way we're viewed in this country. We're looked at as stop being a victim. We're also looked at as, despite what happened to us, nobody's sympathetic towards our plight as it is to other groups. So those statistics don't make sense because if we represent 51% of exonerations, it proves that we're being sentenced on preconceived notions, right? Also in those studies. It was from, I think it was from like 1998 to 2008 or 2007, right? It was just a whole bunch of skewed research in that to say that this many percentage of black people are felons, which is a lie, right? And then on top of that, when you get to the W, man, how do we know that a lot of them are getting off because they're white, based off the numbers and the way the statistics are set up? Right? So you can't go by those statistics in this country when you have historical and institutional racism that it still exists. There's been nothing to change that. Right? Do we have problems in our community? Absolutely. But every community has problems. Every community has criminality and problems. They just make us the face of it. Right? But she wasn't done.
In terms of mass shooters, I think you said white people are the majority of mass shooters. I would say that's true. And I wouldn't crash out on you for saying that. So again, if you want to get offended, that is a choice and that is your choice and you have the right to do that. So.
And see, she's being real cocky and condescending, right, towards these black women because they're not, I'm not going to say they're not intelligent enough or articulate enough to articulate their points, but they wasn't showing the ability to challenge her in the manner in which they should without being emotional, without beating her up with the information, bringing straight forth information that'll totally wipe out all that foolishness that she was saying. They wasn't displaying that, right? But she made a mistake when she went on to a panel with the lead attorney, and the lead attorney just mopped the floor with her real quick.
So the topic was if black women date criminals more than other races.
That was not the topic. That's a topic that you introduced.
If black women date criminals more than other races.
Yeah, and I would say that's true.
Oh shit. Okay.
So and I'm not saying the white women don't do it too. We do, but it's just when I was interviewing and talking to people, that was just more prevalent with black women.
Okay. And in terms of criminals, if we say that black women date more criminals than I say white women, are there more criminals? Are there more black people? Are there more black criminals in the United States, or are there more white criminals in the United States?
Well, I'd say most people date in their race, like most people. There are interracial, but most people do date in their race. And if 1 in 3 black guys have felonies, then that's just going to be more common.
Okay. Let me ask the question again. Are there more black criminals in the United States, or are there more white criminals in the United States?
I don't know. Because it depends if you do it like total or per capita.
Yeah, I'm asking total.
Total, probably white.
Okay, so and probably way more white criminals than black criminals, right?
Yes.
But you're saying that even though there are way more white criminals, that black women date more black criminals than white women date white criminals?
Yeah, because most people date in their race. And so it's like what percent of a third of white men don't have a felony. So if I was
way more white criminals though, right?
Right, but I'm talking on a percentage. So if you talk to 10 black women versus 10 white women, if you talk to 10 white women, they're not going to know as many criminals, just on a balance of probability.
Even though there are millions more white male criminals?
But not per capita.
And I really don't know the 1 in 3. That's surprising to think that 1 in 3 black men have felonies. Where did that come from?
You can Google it.
All right. So I think we're kind of seeing a little bit of looseness or shoddiness in these arguments here. I mean, that's a very, and I'm not saying that it's wrong, but that's a very stark argument, a very stark statistic that 1 in 3 black men have felonies. So it would be good if you're going to put that out there to kind of know where we got it, right? And then it would be good to know the stats for what it's kind of weird to know the stats for black men and not know the stats for white men. Is that a little weird? Do you know how many white men are felons?
Not off the top of my head. I know I've looked it up before.
Do we all see kind of what's going on? Right. And this is what you got to be careful about. Now, if you're just going to be dating on this fatty guy's channel, you don't really have to be, I guess, so buttoned up. Right. But if you want to present yourself and hey, I know what I'm talking about. It's weird to know how many black men are felons, but not to know how many white men are felons, but then that white.
Do you want to just Google it? You can Google it if you want.
But you're the one making the argument, not me.
Well, I came here to talk about the marriage debate.
Okay, so let's just end it. Because now we're going down.
See, when you have somebody that had a brain that could challenge her and challenge her foolishness, the ship started leaking oil real quick, and it was going down faster than the Titanic, right? And he asked the specific. If there's millions and millions of more W folks in this country, then that means that there's millions and millions of more criminals. On that side, that means that the W woman will be dating criminals. But again, they don't label their own people as criminals like that. They're not the face of criminality. So, but she's not, either she's playing dumb or she's not smart enough to understand that, right? Then on top of that, he asked her, how do you have the numbers for black men, but not the numbers for W men? But you're making the argument about black women dating more criminals than other groups. But you don't have the other statistics. Right? See, they got too emotional and they didn't answer the specific question. My thing is, what is a criminal in America? What is considered a criminal? What is considered a thug? Right? Outside of the face, the face of a black man, what is a thug in America? Right? When we know how this country was established, you have thugs that wear police uniforms, they're judges, they're school teachers, they're criminals on the block. They're everywhere. Everywhere. Criminals everywhere. But they have a certain criteria for what a thug is. Right? And then they say not American culture, but black culture. And they make us the face of these things. Y'all better stop playing with me, man. And then you get people like this that come and spew all that foolishness, man. Knowing this country, man. Some of the biggest thugs wear suits. They sit in the Senate and the Congress, House of Representatives, your judicial branches, everywhere. Man, but again, the black man is the face of criminality, and they make up all these fake statistics that they make y'all believe it. Because in the communities where you come from, you see a drive-by or some criminality, and you start believing all the rhetoric that they put out about you, not realizing that all groups do the same thing. And all groups historically have done the same. And in America, we know historically who's done this to us for years. Now we do it to each other, not them. So we already know who the first criminals, man, listen, we already know who the thugs and criminals are. But stop giving this woman the platform. She's leaking oil and she's running out of time, man. And she's just trying to find the next grift. She can't wait to find a BBC to sit down on, man. So she's just playing with y'all. But y'all let me know what y'all think, man. If you made it this far in the video, hit that like button. Subscribe to Street Media TV. Leave your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. And remember, I love y'all. Till the next time. Peace.